All right, everyone, welcome to the Cats and Books Club podcast. I'm Izzy,
And I am Aryn.
and we are two cousins who read stuff and talk about it. This is a book club, and we both have cats.
That's right.
Aryn has two cats, and I have two cats. And you can look at all the pictures of them on our Instagram.
At
Which,
CatsandBooksPod.
yes, good job getting on it. So, this book is part 2 of Heir of Fire because this book was a heckin' chonker.
It's huge. And I have a feeling as we go later into this series that a lot of our later podcasts will be split into part 1 and part 2 if you guys want to keep following us. But I
Read
believe
the books
that's
because
right.
this is full of spoilers. We're gonna try and
Absolutely.
not mansplain the books to you as much. We're still trying to figure out how a podcast can be structured, and I'm very disorganized in my real life, so this is a challenge. If anybody has any suggestions or templates, we're still kind of examining the different lenses to view literature, etc., to kind of shishify the experience.
Absolutely.
All right, Aryn.
All right. We're going to pick up where we left off. We're still with Rowan and Selena, or Aelin, as we are now calling her, because that's who she is.
Right, they're in the Fae realm where
In the
magic is
Fae realm.
allowed and thrives even. And she is with her people as she is. Is she half Fae? Is that what we found out?
Um, I believe she's full Fae. She
Oh,
just
she's
wasn't.
full.
She just wasn't. She was like blocking her powers and um, not using them in order to protect herself. And because she hasn't used it in so long, that's part of why she's with Rowan, is to do training and to help her build her magic back up and to use it properly.
Right. So the sort of overall theme of this arc is Selena's trying to harness her magic now that she knows she can without getting murdered. And so she and Rowan's a prince.
Hmm.
He is a more royalty, constantly with the princess situation. It's all royal shit all the way down. Like it's like no one's just a guy except
They
for
all got to be
Sorsha, but we'll
royalty.
get to that.
um,
Sorsha's just
so
like a chill, normal person in the midst of all these fucking people.
that is something that we next wanted to touch on.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna
what?
talk about that. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
so we're talking about Rowan.
yes. So what we found out with Rowan, once he gets to a point where he feels comfortable with Aelin, he tells her that he had a wife or a mate, as they kind of call it in the Fae realm. But he had a wife, and he was gone for a long time from her, was gone for months, was out fighting their enemies. Um, but he was not able to save her before the king and his men had the Fae, obviously, as we know, had the Fae slaughtered. Um, but they actually, when he got to back to his home, his wife was already dead, and his
It's the
house
same
was
fucking
burnt to
story
ash.
every time.
Exactly. And then, of
Every
course, he
single
found
time
out.
it's like,
I mean, okay, I'm
oh
not.
my, I was gone doing things
I
that I
was
needed to
gone,
do, and now my family's
and then they're dead.
murdered. All
Yes.
my love people trauma was separated. Watch,
Well,
it's gonna be like fucking Rowan's gonna get murdered. It's just gonna fucking happen. There's just no way around it.
Everyone's gonna die. I'm
It's
just
the
kidding,
only
guys. We
thing
don't know.
that
We
is
don't know.
consistent about these books. You get one character a book who you like and who you're like, maybe this time, and then they're gonna get brutally murdered, and then Blaine is gonna be like, yet again, another loved one taken from me. I have 5 dead boyfriends now. I can't go on. How many
Oh
more?
my gosh.
How many more men will I fall in love with who will be taken from me?
Stop it. Okay. I also wanted to mention that he found out that his wife, of course, was pregnant before she died because of course she was. Because we have to add to the trauma anyway.
So annoyed.
So we kind of wanted to touch on that. Just throughout this series, I don't know, we've kind of noticed this trend where, and it's neither good nor bad, it's just something we're looking at as a whole in this series. There's a lot of trauma in these books. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of characters with these horrible, traumatic backstories. And then there's a lot of characters that come in and then they die, or they come in and they leave.
Here's what I call it, Aryn. You know what it is? It's
what?
50 Shades of Victims.
Yes.
It's the pit that many books fall into where everyone in it is a victim of some horrible shit. And it's like, dude, you don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a couple, sure. Every single character doesn't have to have their entire family murdered, their child's killed before their eyes, their mother, father, their legs ripped off. I don't know. It's just so much. I think it's too much. Is what I'm this.
Well, and then there was another part that I wanted to mention, just character-wise as a whole. Again, with these books, I've mentioned it before in the other podcast. I'm going to mention it again. I feel like because we have so many characters in play, that there isn't a lot of development on a lot of them. Like, I feel that Rowan could have been further developed. Aryn could have been further developed. Sorsha, in particular, could have been further developed. I feel like Sorsha was a very kind of almost one-dimensional character.
I think she could have, like, she had potential to be more. And I think, being in her head about things almost made her, like, less relatable. I don't know, because it was just like, oh, handsome prince. And it's like,
right.
Girl, you lived through fucking a bunch of shit. You know a fucking prince ain't gonna save you. I know you have hope, I understand that, but it's also like, why do we have to have another goddamn victim? I'm annoyed. Stop with the female victims.
I agree.
But anyway, we're not talking about that. We're still talking about Rowan.
So what do you think is about Rowan? Like, what?
Oh, okay. So, what I feel about Rowan, okay, first, as a character, he's more of the mean guy who secretly likes you but won't show it and punches you to prove that he's not romantically interested in you. And it's like, it just is like a lot of the same guy keeps coming back. But he just happens to be like the meanest and the hardest and the toughest and has a dead wife and a dead child who almost born and then get enslaved to this evil queen who beats him, and it's just like everybody in the club getting enslaved to someone and being beaten like constantly. This is like, and maybe that's like, oh, they have so much in common. They've both been enslaved and beaten to death. How romantic. But I'm like,
yeah.
Also, he's like 5,000 million years old, and she's like 16, and it's like,
no, she's not 16.
She's 19.
She's 19 by the time we get to this book. So, I mean,
but it's still like,
it's yeah.
And then okay, here's my big huge take about this relationship.
Mhm.
I think Selena and Rowan are like in Beauty and the Beast if it was just the Beast dating himself. It would look like
Yes.
this. Everybody has unresolved trauma. Nobody has emotional regulation. Nobody knows how to communicate correctly. And it's just being mad and being shitty at each other and very abusive, but like confrontationally abusive.
Mhm.
Like, two alphas trying to,
Out
I don't know,
alpha
out
each
alpha
other.
each other. And
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
I understand why people think this is hot, but it's like, it's it's one of those like weird Twilight similar relationships where you look at it, you're like, actually, a lot of this seems pretty bad. This is pretty
Yeah.
fucked, kind of like they actually beat each other up. Like it's like I know that in Fae culture that's kind of a thing, but it's also like, man, I don't know about it. And then they get like bonded for life, and I'm like, oh fucking Jesus, this is gonna
Yeah,
be
I
terrible.
sort of say that kind of leads us into kind of the climax of the novel. I want to say there's almost two climaxes to this novel. Like there's the thread that we have where we're following Selena and Rowan, and what happens with them is, of course, they fight the Valg, and
Right,
they
Aaron, tell us
fight
who
the
the
Valg
Valg are because
together.
I don't even know who the Valg are. They're like, it's some evil guys that go in the in between, and I'm like,
The old,
there are a bunch of evil guys who go in the in between. Which
yeah, I
flavor
sort
of
of,
it is this? They're all the same shit to me. It's like some evil guy who can fucking do brain shit. Like, is it the same as the weird monsters they murdered? Is it different? Oh my god, I think I have echo on. Oops. Now.
it was an interesting ending, or well, ending to this book for those two in particular. That Rowan is the one who decides to give a blood oath to Aelin and says, I bond to you. I want to be your champion. Um, because what happens is Selena gets Rowan out of his bond with um, Maeve, with Queen Maeve. And what I found interesting, and Izzy, you can comment on this, it's almost like, okay, so what I found interesting with Selena and Rowan's arc, and Izzy, you can comment on this. So
Don't
even though
worry, I
I know
will.
Rowan is, okay, look, I get he's abusive and he's a jerk.
Aaron has cognitive dissonance.
Now, hold on, hold on a second. But when we look at the relationship, if we're just looking above here and we're looking at the relationship he has with Queen Maeve, which is obviously an abusive relationship, that Rowan is a victim of Maeve's, and Selena chooses to help Rowan. He helps her fight against the Valg princes, and she in turn says, I free you from your bond with Queen Maeve. Okay? But then, honestly, when Rowan kind of turns around and decides to bond himself and give a blood oath to Selena, do we think that she's trying to make a statement that um, since Rowan is used to being in a victim like relationship, that being free was not comfortable for him?
Well,
And
that's a
that the
thought.
only way he felt comfortable was by swearing a blood oath to Selena?
I mean, I thought it was like the only way to keep anybody else from enslaving him, basically. Or was that it? I don't remember
I,
why he
I
felt like he
guess
had to do that.
I
And I
don't know.
think that whole scene was very dumb to me because it just, I don't know, she like tricked her into fucking, like, she's like, you cannot break this bond, and then somehow they find a way to break the bond. And I'm like, so whatever. Anyway, I felt like it was, I mean, okay, the thing that had to happen happened, but I think it could have
Mhm.
made more sense.
I will say, just a side note real quick about kind of overall plot and overall arcs and everything of this series. There's a lot of things that I feel like the author will say that either A, it's a character I don't remember because I've only met them like literally once 2 books ago, or it'll be something that I feel like the author will talk about, and it'll be something that we're supposed to just kind of know about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like there's some bits where you're just like, what? Who is? I
It's a
don't
little
care. I don't care who
scattered.
this is. It doesn't
Right.
matter. I'm
It's a
not gonna
little
worry about
scattered
it.
for me. And again, like I know I've said it before, but again, I feel like this series in particular would be a lot better had she tightened the cast.
Yeah, I mean,
That's just
there
my
are
opinion.
new characters introduced in every book.
Every single book. It's a very hard cast to keep up with, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, because like half of the witch clan people, I'm like, I don't remember who that is or why that matters.
Right.
Like, why is?
So it's like I try to focus on like who the main one is, which obviously Manon of the Witch Clan, that's kind of the main person to really pay attention to.
Yeah,
So
in
I try
that
to,
arc specifically. But
yeah,
are we done talking about Rowan's backstory?
yes. And do you
Okay.
want to lead us into our next sort of point and the second climax of the novel?
All right. Yeah, we might as well get the major ones sort of out of the way. The next climax of the novel is when basically after Selena defeats the Vogue princes, like because the Vogue like knew who she was and was like, "Oh, it's Aelin the Queen. Oh shit." And like because she beat them all, word got out and everyone was like, "Our queen has saved us." Like who opened the bag? Well, I don't know who it was. Was it the Vogue that leaked it or like who told everyone?
I feel like it was just kind of word of mouth, is kind of how I took it, that people saw and they saw her magic and they got all excited and it just kind of spread around the kingdom, is how
Yeah.
I took
But
it.
basically, yeah, like word got out and of course, the king being directly in contact with the Vogue princes because they're his goons, he's immediately knowing that this is all, guess whose fault? It's Kale's fault. And I guess Dorian's also, I don't remember how they decide, but basically everybody gets rounded up. We get,
Yes, so how they do that is
yeah,
the king calls Kale for a summons.
yeah, like
And when,
immediately,
yes, and when Kale gets there and he gets in his private council chamber, Edian is already um, inside the council chamber and he's surrounded by guards.
why did they get
And
80? I forget.
they I don't think that's exactly told, but they capture him because where we meet all this happening is when Kale goes into the council chamber. So Kale is brought into the council chamber. Edian's already inside, surrounded by guards. And when Dorian hears that Edian and Cal have been summoned to his father's private council, he runs to Sorsha,
He's
who
like,
is in
shit,
her
we gotta
work.
get out of here.
Yes.
And they didn't have any time, and he knew that being okay because we need to talk about the relationship with Sorsha for people to understand what happens here. So
Hmm.
Doran is like, oh shit, I have magic. He's being all secretive, running around like, and then Sorsha ends up being the healer he goes to, and he asks her like, oh yeah, we went through this, but basically he starts bonding with her because she knows his secret, and she's vowed to keep it for him, but he starts liking her, and then she also has a crush on him, but also there's this weird power dynamic, and I mean, it's not like she really had a choice anyway, but so he gets her involved, and then of course, because she's involved, they're immediately grabbed before they can escape and dragged into the same room with everyone else. Then what happens, Aaron?
So when they are in this council chamber all together, but we've got Edian trying to tell lies to try and get the rest of them out to safety. The king says that Sorsha has been writing to a friend about the king's movement and that this is why they've, brought her in. And they get Sorsha on the ground, She tells
Wait,
Dorian.
so she really did that?
Yes, she really did that. But you got to remember, she was working with the rebels.
Right. Oh.
So her and Edian and Kale, they're all working for the rebels on the down low.
Right.
They get her on the ground, and she tells Dorian that she loves him, and the king's men kill her.
Yeah, they chop her whole head off. They're like, here you
It's a
go.
very gruesome scene,
Here, you
guys.
have a murder in your eyes. Yeah, so that's another ding ding ding, another dead partner.
Mm-hmm.
I will have to do an official count at some point of
I know.
how many motherfuckers are dead. Just in she's killing them with a Gatling gun. Just like,
I know, it's like, wait a minute. We have pause here. We have Nehemia. We have Sorsha. We have oh goodness. Sam.
A rando before Sam, who I don't even remember his name.
And we have Caltane, who is she's not dead, but she's being, abused horribly. Anyway. All right, guys, back to the council chambers and what's happening.
There's more, probably.
Here. Oh, there's more.
But yeah, so she gets murdered, and then I'm mad about that. I'm like, you fuckers. You fucker. Why would you do this? But anyway, it has to be more martyrs. All the martyrs. And then, what's his face? Adian gets hauled off. Like, not killed, it turns out. But
not killed, but hauled off and arrested.
Hauled away. And probably is going to be turned into a monster. And then Dorian gets a fucking magic choker put on him that basically enslaves him to his dad. So that's great.
So what happens is, I just wanted to
note.
More
slavery.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to note that when Sorsha is killed, Dorian releases his magic on the king and saves Kale. So Kale is able to flee.
Right. And then so while they're all distracted, Kale's like, we gotta go.
Yeah, he's like, I'm leaving. Bye. And then the medallion that his father puts over him is the medallion of a word key. So that's the key point of that there's a word key. It is the same word key that the king took from Celaena.
Wait, who put it on his neck?
His father.
So his dad's actually secretly good? Like, what does that mean?
No, his father put the medallion of the word key over Dorian's neck.
So sorry. Yes. I thought you meant Kale. I'm dumb.
No. If I said Kale,
the word key is now on Dorian's neck. And it is controlling him and turning him into a monster.
Him. Yes.
We find out.
So not only does the king have control over Dorian, he has a word key. He probably has more of the word keys. And if he's in league with the Valg, which we know he is, like, come on, we know.
I mean, they definitely made it pretty clear.
Yeah. We know that he's got, he could potentially have a whole army of basically demon princes. So.
He probably does. Everyone in the world is a prince in this fucking shit. I'm an archduke. Wait, Aryn, did you say something I think it cut out?
Oh, no, I didn't. I just said we're that's where we are, that we have Kale fleeing and Dorian and Edian captured and Sorsha, unfortunately, dead is where we end with this book.
Right, and then Celaena, I mean, where does Celaena end the story? Like, what's she doing at the end of the book?
At the end of the book, they're making the blood oath.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much the biggest thing that happens with Manon is that she gets
Manon. We need to talk about the witches.
Yes. She got her wyvern to fly. Yay!
Yay, Abraxos finally made it.
I have to say, I think Manon may be my favorite character.
She's a good character. I think Abraxos comes also, like, Abraxos is, okay. No, you know who I like? I want more of the kid. I want more of the kid in the kitchen. The fake kid.
Oh, yeah.
His name I forget.
The cutie. Luca. The cutie.
He's a good character. I'm like, yes, I see this kid perfectly. I understand who he is.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't take much. I'm like, yeah, see, it doesn't take much to really like flesh out a character, but they can't just be like cookie cutter all saying the same shit. And I think some of these like the main characters were all like, ooh, and it's like y'all sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think Manon is an interesting character. You see her like sort of morality changing, like differing from the rest of her peers as she does things that are not sort of cutthroat like the rest of the witch sort of culture. She shows compassion to Abraxos, which is something none of her, like, all of her peers make fun of her for doing it. And she's like, I don't give a shit. I run this town and I'm doing what I want. And that's an energy I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that her saving an enemy clan's witch showed another line of compassion that they actively tried to discourage.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leads you to believe that Manon is not really on the king's side and probably will not be. And something
Mm-hmm.
will be changing in the next book. And I haven't read it yet, so I don't know what it is. Erin started reading it, but she can't spoil it, so it
I'm not
sucks.
going to spoil anything, but I'm just, as I told Izza, Manon is the real MVP. And I've already told Izza, we're
No,
definitely going to
Erin, you're
need,
spoiling it. You can't talk about it.
well, I'm just going to say that we're going to need two,
I'm cutting it out.
well, I was just going to say we're going to need two podcasts. Like, we're going to have to split that into two.
Yeah, probably.
Just because,
The
you'll find out
books,
why.
the rest of the books are like
They're
enormous.
huge, for one thing. They're huge. They're like
I
600
listen to them on
pages a
audiobooks, so
piece.
I
Yeah.
don't really feel the heft, but I'm sure they are bricks. What else do we want to talk about? I wanted to talk about setting,
Yeah.
or do we want to talk about any more characters like Adian? Do we want to talk about Adian? What do you
I
feel
don't,
about his character? Do you think he's kind of
again,
meh?
I like Aryn, but again, because I feel she doesn't spend enough time developing him, I feel like by the end of the book, we don't really know Aryn. Like, I feel bad. Like, I feel bad that he's been captured, but I feel like I don't know him like I should. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you don't really, there's not much below the surface because his whole personality is kind of based on like being betrothed to Aelin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, uh, what else?
Mm-hmm.
Like you and everyone in the world, like give me something else. Like we need more.
Sorry, it's funny.
It's just the truth. It's very everybody in the club is obsessed with this bitch. I'll lay down my life for you. I'm in love with you. Even though I tried to murder you, I'm still in love. What do you fucking mean? Okay, so the kid in the kitchen and the gay pair were very cool. I liked them. I liked the storytelling. I think like the vibe in the kitchen was cute. And then Selena being a bitch to them was just her being shitty unnecessarily, which is a character flaw of hers. But it's also like,
Mm-hmm.
bro, I don't really know that that scene was necessary. It seemed kind of
Mm-hmm.
dumb.
I agree.
It's like, man, leave them alone. They've been through enough shit. They all get shat on because they don't actually have any magic already, and you're just abusing them more. So it's like, you're no better than all the people in the fucking tortured pits, like inflicting misery on other people because you're having a bad time. So that was kind of like, not cute.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think that's all I have about the characters and their relationships. What about the setting? What do we feel about the setting of these? Like, I'm annoyed about the tunnels. I'm annoyed at the tunnels. There's so many fucking tunnels in that stupid castle, and if it's made of glass, can't you see them? How does nobody, like, I
Yeah.
don't understand the architecture of the glass castle. There's nothing mentioned about it. Seems
I would
pretty opaque
say,
to me.
yeah, again, there are things that I feel like she could have further developed. Setting is one of them. We don't really understand how this world lays out,
So what would
is
you
my,
like to see?
I just wish she had a little bit more description. Um,
Description of
of the
what specifically?
of the castle and of the kingdom in particular. Um,
She describes the grubby, nasty areas, but like we never really see, yeah, like the inside of most of the buildings,
mhm.
except the kitchen. I could imagine what the kitchen looked like, I guess.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like, yeah, other stuff that seemed like it would have been kind of nice to see what the, imagine how sick a Fey forest looks like, like what's
Mhm. Exactly.
it's
Yes.
very like ran through the grass. Okay. I'm still laughing at. Wait, was it in this? Which book was it that she was like, I'm passing out? And it was like 2 hours later. She's like, I'm passing out. I only have a few seconds left. 5 years passed. Oh, I only have a few seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
I think that's about all my thoughts on it. But do you have any final thought?
All right, Aryn. What do you rate it and why?
I would have to give this one a 3 out of 5 because I feel, again, I just feel characters could have been further developed, and I feel like scenes could have been further developed. And again, I just feel like a lot of unnecessary death
It's
and
so
trauma.
unnecessary. It's so
You know,
unnecessary.
Now that being said, I do like overall the plot. I like where it's going. I like that we can kind of see and follow. Oh, okay, stuff is getting real. Stuff is
I
getting
do
real.
like the
Ooh,
plot.
stuff is
I
getting
will
real.
say, yeah. Anyway, not to interrupt.
No,
I'm stepping back
that was
out.
going to be my final thoughts. I just feel like this one just could have been a little bit cleaner. And again, and this may just be my personal preference. I don't know, but again, I feel like if she had a tighter cast of characters to work with, it would be better overall as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like fewer characters, better developed is usually better than a lot of characters shittily developed.
Mhm.
Okay, honestly, I'll give it a 4 out of 5 because I think it's a lot better than the last one. And I
Mhm.
think, it was pretty well thought out plot wise, which is important to me.
Mhm.
Characters were okay. They could have used more, but it's like, what can you do? I think the political stuff is interesting. Like, if you're going to be doing a political thing, you got to know what you're doing. You got to know things
Yeah.
about political things,
Yeah.
understand how a government functions, etc.
Mm. Mhm.
So I think, that was doing okay. I didn't find any major issues there. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right. But I'm still annoyed. I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed at all the fucking dead people.
Mhm.
Stop. Stop with the martyrs. Yeah, and I think that's all I got.
Alrighty. So
Wait,
we.
you need to
Oh.
find a review.
Oh.
This one's
Okay,
fucking
you read
funny.
yours first.
No, no, no. Well, okay. All right. It says DNF 25%. And for those who don't know, that means did not finish. 1 star. I quit. I fucking quit. I'm done. Seriously, I tried. God knows I tried, but I just can't anymore. I am not normally in the unpopular opinion side, but these books are ARG. Just know. I really don't give a fuck about Selena slash Aelin, whatever the fuck her name is, much less about Cal or that dude Rowan. The only one I really care about is my precious cinnamon roll Dorian, and he's the
Oh.
one who doesn't get a lot of attention, so I'm done. Bye. Forever. Throne of Glass. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. And then there's a GIF, and it says, dot, 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 no. And that's the 1 star review.
Well, the 5-star review that I found says
What rating is it?
it's a 5. It's a 5 out of
Okay.
5.
All
So this
right.
is someone who loved this book. They say, this is going to be a book that I will constantly be thinking about until I'm able to get my hands on the next book. It was incredible, and I'm so happy with the way this story is evolving. Now, give me Queen of Shadows. Yeah, I mean, again, we're not doing this podcast to like hate or love books. We're doing this podcast to give like objective thoughts and opinions. And again, like we would love for you readers to give thoughts and opinions too. If you loved it, if you hated it, who your favorite character is.
Think.
Yeah. And again, just keep it cool in the comments, guys. Like we don't have to get into fights. You know.
Get in a fight if you want, though. I'm bored. I'll watch.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Aryn doesn't like it, but I like it because I love chaos. Bring it to me.
But for real, guys, comment, like, subscribe, share, read along. We would love to see you guys interact and have you join us.
Come find us on Instagram, plug our plugs. We've got, Aryn, what are our things?
Instagram, we are at CatsandBooksPod. And YouTube, we are also at CatsandBooksPod.
Yep. Cool. Find us there.
Izzy, you also post our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, correct?
Yeah, they're on there. Probably Cats and Books Pod. I don't remember. I should look. But all the things are in the show notes because I can edit that there. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, alrighty, guys. We will see you next time.
We'll see you next time for
Queen of Shadows.
Book, Queen of Shadows, the next Tekken Chonker. Read along with us. Tell us what you think. If you want to be on the show, sure, why not?
Yeah, like
write us an email. I don't care.
Yeah. We also have an email address at catsandbookspod@gmail.com.
Yep. Thanks so much, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.